Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Vijender Singh Tawar, Associate Professor in English. Presently, I have been posted at Government College, Budha, in the Jammu district. In the series of video lecture which I am preparing for the students, this lecture is meant for the students of class BA Part 2nd, subject English Literature, paper 1st, and the topic of the lecture is explanations of stanza 3rd to 5th of the famous poem by P.B. Shelley, Ode to the West Wind. In the previous lecture, we have done first two stanzas explanation. In this, we will take up 3rd to 5th. Before we begin, let us discuss something about the poet. As we know, P.B. Shelley, Percy Bysshe Shelley, is one of the youngest poets of English literature of Romantic movement. He was born in 1792 and died in 1822. He is known as a great lyricist. He was famous for his association with John Keats and Lord Byron. He was born in aristocratic family, royal family, but he did not agree with the rules and regulations of the family. He always revolted against the system or the rules which were imposed on him. When he was a student, it was a compulsion for every student to go to church on every Sunday to show his opposition on this issue. He, along with one of his friends, wrote a pamphlet entitled The Necessity of Atheism. He was expelled from the college and he suffered in his life because of this attitude. But he remained a faithful follower of his whims, or we can say what he used to think right. He became an idol for the next 2 or 3 or even 4 generations of poets, including the important Victorian and pre-Raphaelite poets Robert Browning, Alfred Lord Tennyson, as well as Lord Byron, and poets in other languages. Now, something about the poem, just to remind, as it is one of the most famous poems in English language, Ode to the West Wind. It was written in 1819 and published in 1820, along with his musical drama, Prometheus Unbound. It is considered as a matchless ode. But this poem contains so many figure of speeches in it, or the poet has employed a particular kind of similes, metaphors to convey what he wants to say. And the way he has introduced or used those figure of speeches has made the poem a bit difficult. It is beyond the comprehension of ordinary person. Even the students of literature, they face many problems when they try to interpret this poem. The poem is one of Shelley's greatest achievement and has a deep human and political interest. It gives a message of universal appeal, which is, we can say, inspire the human beings for optimism. Though it is true that Shelley, as far as his present life was concerned, he was a pessimist. He suffered a lot. But as far as future is concerned, he was a great optimist. And from this poem, he has given this message to his readers, and through his readers to the general public. Now let us come to the stanza number 3. of this poem for the explanation. As I have told you, we have completed 2 stanzas. This is the third. In the previous 2 stanzas, we have seen the impact of west wind on earth and in the sky. In the third stanza, we will see the impact of west wind on the sea. How the poet has shown this shows that he is a minute observer of the nature, and he has a myth-making power. He has taken the example of 2 seas, Mediterranean and Atlantic, and both the seas have been personified. First, in the first part, we are given the impact of west wind on the Mediterranean, and in the second, the Atlantic Ocean. The first, let us take Mediterranean Ocean. Thou means you, that is the west wind, who did waken from his summer dreams, the blue Mediterranean. Now, Mediterranean Sea, which during the summer season remained calm. The poet imagines it was sleeping. Why? Where he lay means he was sleeping, lulled by the coil of his crystalline stream. Lulled means soothed, made to sleep. The coil maze, crystal very clear streams. Many rivers and streams which fall in the Mediterranean Ocean, they form a maze, and that maze produce a sweet music. And listening to that sweet music, Mediterranean Ocean was sleeping during the summer season. Or in other words, Mediterranean Ocean remained calm and peaceful throughout winter season. But when the west wind comes, it produces so much sound that it compelled the Mediterranean Ocean to get up from the sleep. Where it was sleeping? Beside, near a Pubis Isle, an island formed of lava. In Bay's Bay, it is a bay which is very near Naples in Italy, and as it was sleeping it soundly, in its sleep, the Mediterranean Ocean was having dreams. What he saw in the dream, and saw in sleep old palaces and towers, very long buildings, wherein trembling within the waves intensely, as if they are trembling in the daylight. Here, what the poet wants to say, that it is a fact that there are many civilizations which were established near the ocean. In the bank of ocean, they were drowned. There were many palaces and towers. And when we look, keeping or concentrating on the water, we saw that there are palaces and towers. They are trembling in the water. All overgrown with azure moss, blue. And all these towers and moss, they are overgrown with moss, the kind of grass, and flowers. So sweet, the sense faints picturing there. And these flowers, most they are very beautiful, the sweet smelling. Even if we imagine, we become unconscious in our life. This is the first part of the stanza in which the poet has described the impact of west wind on the Mediterranean Ocean. Now the second part of the poem, the poet imagines that west wind moves very fast on the surface of the ocean Atlantic. The result is Atlantic is afraid of it, and the waves rose on the surface of it. Some waves rose this side, some that side. In this way, between these two waves, there is produced a hollow. They produced a hollow. The poet called it Atlantic is cleaved to make path for the west wind. As the poet imagines, as west wind will go into that hollow, into changeable parts, while far below, while inside at the bottom of the ocean, the sea blooms and the oozy woods which wear. There are many plants, or sea plants, which are grown at the bottom of the ocean. These plants are wet. They are having leaves, but their leaves do not have any sap in them. Foliage leaves of the ocean know thy voice. When you are moving on the surface of the ocean, they recognize that west wind is blowing by the sound. The result is they become afraid, that the leaves become afraid and suddenly grow gray with fear. They become gray. There is a reference in it, in this line. It is that Charles first, when he was announced or convicted that the next day he will be hanged, his hair turned gray because of fear in one night. The same thing happened with the leaves which are blooming or growing on the plants at the bottom of the ocean. And tremble, they start trembling because of fear, and disappointments fall themselves because of west wind. That is just like in autumn, the leaves fall at the land. The same way, the plants which are grown at the bottom of the sea, they also fall their leaves. West wind is so powerful that it impresses both Mediterranean and Atlantic Ocean. Addressing to such a powerful entity, the poet requests the west wind to listen to him as he wants to say something. This is the stanza third. Now, in the fourth stanza, the poet tries to make a kind of correction between himself and the west. The poet says, if I were a dead leaf, thou mightest be. The poet says, if he were a dead leaf on the earth, it might have been carried away by the west wind. If I were a swift cloud in the sky, if he were a cloud to fly with thee, he would have flown with the force of west wind in the sky. A wave to pant beneath thy power. If he were a wave, he would have experienced the power of west wind and would have moved very fast on the surface of the ocean. And share the impulse of thy strength. He would have experienced the power of west wind. If I were, means it is just in the imagination. It means it is not the reality. The poet wants to say he has a keen desire to experience the power of the west wind. If he were a leaf, he were a swift cloud or a wave, he would have experienced the power of the west wind without any problem. But he is not as free, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. The poet addressing the west wind calls it uncontrollable. Yes, which is beyond the controlling power of any power. The poet is not free. Poet is controlled by society and many other forces. He says, if even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wandering over Hessian, over heaven, as then, when to outstrip the sky speed scarce seemed a vision. The poet wants to say that if he would have that kind of freedom which he enjoyed when he was a boy, he would have been a companion to the moving west wind in the sky. And he would not have been a companion, he would have surpassed, excelled in speed than the, or moved very fast than, more fast than or faster than the west wind. It would have been hardly a vision. It would have been very easily possible if he would have that kind of freedom which he enjoyed in his boyhood. I would never have tried, as thus with thee in prayer in my sore, extreme sorrow. Now he is suffering very much, and now he is praying to the west wind. If he would have that kind of freedom, he would not have prayed to the west wind. Oh, lift me as a wave. The poet requests the west wind to treat him as a wave, a leaf, or a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life. I am fallen on the thorns. That is, I have been surrounded by so much sorrows and pain that I bleed. This means I am very, very much troubled or miserable condition, in very sorrowful state. A heavy weight of hours has chained and bound. Means heavy weight here, it means the circumstances of his life have compelled him. Have chained means he is bound by those forces. Bound one to like the tameless. The person who was as free as the West Wind, there was a time. But now the situation has changed. Now he does not have that kind of freedom which he enjoyed in the past. He was also as tameless and fast moving and proud as the west wind is in his life. But now the situation has changed. That is why he requests the west wind to listen to him, to help him, to treat him as a cloud, as a dead leaf, or as a wave. Now let us come to the stanza number 50. The poet requests the west wind to treat him as a lyre. Make me thy lyre. Lyre is a musical instrument. So the poet requests the west wind to treat him as a musical instrument, lyre, even as the forest is. As it is treating forest as a musical instrument, lyre. Lyre is a musical instrument, stringed instrument. The idea is the west wind, when it blows through the forest, it produces a musical tune. The poet imagines as if the west wind is treating forest as its musical instrument. The poet requests the west wind to treat him also as his musical instrument. What if my leaves are falling like its sound? It doesn't matter if his leaves are also falling. If he, like the forest, is passing through the autumn season, like the autumn season. The idea is, it is autumn season and the leaves of the trees are falling down. What are the leaves of poet? Means his hopes. All his optimism is falling. He is losing hope. He is found himself in sorrows. The tumult of thy mighty harmonies. When the west wind will treat the poet and the forest both as his musical instrument, musical tunes will be produced. Mighty musical tunes will be produced from both, though it will be autonomous tune, very sad tune. It will be very sad tune will be produced, though it will be very sad, but it will be very sweet tune also. Here we remember the poet, W.P. Shelley, in his famous poem Ode to a Skylark, has said, our sweetest songs are those that tell us of our saddest thoughts. Same thing. Here is stated by the poet. Be thou spirit fierce, my spirit. He requests the west wind that you should become a powerful spirit, west wind, become my spirit. Be thou me, impetuous one. You should become me as uncontrollable. The idea is the poet requests the west wind to treat him and the forest as a musical instrument and use all its force in every way and make it powerful and impressive. Drive my dead thoughts over the universe. And he also requests that spread all his thoughts. They are dead, dead in the sense that he wanted to bring about a change, a revolution in the society, but his ideas could not bring about a revolution. So they have been treated as dead. But he is not a pessimist. He requests the rebel to spread his dead, that is unimpressive thoughts in the society throughout the world. Like withered leaves to quicken a river, just as we use manure the dead leaves and it helps in growing the plants quickly. In the same way, the new system will emerge because of his ideas. And by the incantation of this verse, by the chanting, by the singing of this poem, scatter as from an extinguished earth. And again there is a comma, and so there is additional information. Unextinguished earth means not fully extinguished earth. Ashes and sparks by words among mankind. If we take ashes and sparks from a not fully extinguished hearth, they may bring about some kind of fire somewhere in the universe. In the same way, his words, though they are dead, his ideas, which were supposed to bring about a revolution, but they could not bring about a revolution. But the poet is hopeful. They will certainly impress someone in the world. Be through my lips to unawaken earth. He requests that he wants to make a message or a statement for the world. So as the world is sleeping and he wants to awaken them. So be his lips, be his mouthpiece. The trumpet of a prophecy, just as some important announcement is made, trumpet is beaten or blown so to attract the attention. The same kind of role should be played by the west wind. So he requests to become trumpet of his, we can say, before he could make an announcement of his thought. Oh wind, if winter comes, can spring be farther? This line is very important and it is because proverbial. If winter stands for sorrows, problems, etc. The idea is, if human beings are surrounded by sorrows, problems, and all kinds of troubles in the present, they should not be discouraged. They should not be disheartened. They should know, can spring be farther? Spring season, which stands for positivity, for beauty, for truth, happiness, it will also come very soon. The idea is, the poet wants to say, at present, if we are surrounded by sorrows, problems, etc., miseries, we should not be disheartened. We should keep in mind that there will come good days very soon. What he wants to say is this, that presently it is quite possible that you may be surrounded in the problems, but as far as future is concerned, is quite optimistic that there will come good days. Thank you very much.